Hello and welcome to our Facebook Live AAT Advanced Level Synoptic Hints and Tips. We need to get a snappier title than that, if we're being honest. The way Facebook Live works, there's quite a delay between me saying something and me seeing it. So if you've got a question, type it in the comments and then I will come back to it. There will be time for questions at the end. I'm also filling because there is a time delay. So whilst I am filling, anyone who likes and shares this will be entered into a prize draw to win a First Intuition mug, brand new. Can't say better than that. Now, whilst I've got your attention, I just want to bring your attention to that. FB25. Just want to remind you that we have 25% off our whole level online, live, and live online courses. So using the FB25 code there, you'll get 25% off. And again, you can pay in interest-free installments. So anyway, whilst I've mentioned that, I want to talk about Advanced Level Synoptic. Advanced Level Synoptics always had a bit of a reputation, rightly so, some would argue. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare a while back. People were really struggling, and it's evolved. Not many people are particularly interested in the history of accounting qualifications, but I'm one of them, so I'm going to talk about it. Many years ago, many years ago, AQ 2016 launched, and fine, all going hunky-dory, and then students came to Advanced Level Synoptic, which typically they did at the end because you had to know everything by that point, and then people were failing for various reasons, technical issues, exams freezing, it was just rocket science, it was just so hard. So anyway, the AAT changed it. It now doesn't cover indirect tax, so technically we all suggest you leave indirect tax till the end because you've got to wait 6 weeks for your results from Advanced Synoptic, and indirect tax takes about 6 weeks to do, so it works out very well. But AAT removed indirect tax from the Advanced Synoptic, so you don't need to know that. You just need to know advanced bookkeeping, final accounts preparation, and management accounting costing. And then you've got ethics and spreadsheets. So there's quite a bit to know. I'm going to talk about sort of various things about what you do need to know, what you don't need to know, and also how to pass the exam. It's now gone from 4 tasks in ethics to 3, and 3 tasks in spreadsheets to 2. So we still kept that structure of ethics first and then spreadsheets. So like I said, if you've got any questions or anything, put them on the comments that I'm pointing at that you can't see, but anyway, I'm pointing at it. And remember, like and share, and you will possibly, maybe, win a mug. Can't say fairer than that. Anyway, what better you've got to do on a Saturday than listen to me talk about Advanced Synoptic. So, look at this. How to pass Advanced Synoptic. That's what it says. So, first thing you're going to see in your exam is ethics. Unfortunately, it's only worth 45% of the marks. When I say only, I mean, if you didn't get those 45, you'd fail, because you still need 70 over the entire paper. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, ethics is boring. It really is boring. So the way I suggest you go through ethics is don't spend ages on it. And in fact, one of our students, Detznitsa, she got 100% in this exam. And one of her tips was, don't spend ages on the notes. Like I say, life is too short. What you want to do is spend more time on exam standard questions. You want to be putting your ethical knowledge in the scenario. You want to be working on exam standard questions as much as possible. You don't want to be sit there reading about stuff. It's boring, and it's not what the exam is going to be like. The exam, is geared towards the workplace. It's meant to be, what you do in the real world. So it is scenario based. So you want to spend more time on exam standard questions than just reading notes. However, you can't just ignore the notes because you need to know certain things. If you don't know the 5 fundamental principles, you're in a world of trouble. You've really got to know the 5 fundamental principles. If any of you read the AAT magazine like I do from cover to cover, and the first thing you go to is the naughty pages, where people have done things that they shouldn't do as AAT members, you'll see that 95% of the people in the naughty pages of the AAT magazine is all because they haven't got a practice license and they're not regulated for money laundering. Money laundering, MLLR, is so important in the real world. You go to prison for getting this wrong. So it's going to be all over the exam. You really need to know about money laundering. You need to know who you tell. You need to know who you don't tell. You need to know all about money laundering. So I can't stress that. You need to know money laundering. It's a big thing. And 5 fundamental principles. Which brings me to my next point. If the question asks, which principle is under threat, don't give me a threat. We've asked for a principle. So remember, a lot of this exams, task 1.1 and 1.2, are still very much marked by computers. And if you choose the wrong answer, you will get it wrong. Even if it's, you think it's relevant, you've got to answer the question. So if we say, give us the principle under threat, if you give us a threat, that's great, but it's not the principle, really, and vice versa as well. Now, one thing I would suggest to everyone look at the examiner's feedback. You're doing yourself a disservice by not doing that. Remember, if you fail advanced bookkeeping, so we don't say fail, if you were not yet competent with advanced bookkeeping, it's not great, but you can just rebook it and sit it next week, and fingers crossed, you pass it. You can't do it with advanced synoptic because you've got a 6-week wait, and what happens, you get your results on a Thursday, and it's the Thursday before the next synoptic window. That gives you Friday, Saturday, Sunday to get back up to speed and rebook it. So don't take chances, always go through the examiner's feedback. But you can see task 1.1, 1.2 are normally very well marked by students that don't normally do very well. 1.3, they fail, so they don't do anywhere near as well, should we say. And this is because it's a big extended writing task, which students generally don't like. You can either ignore it, or you can accept that it's going to be there, and it will lead into level 4, the written task that you're going to have to do. So you're going to have to do it. So the secret to this is just practice. Get it marked if you can by your tutor. Act on that feedback and do it again and do it again. Because again, hopefully your tutor will mark it and be able to feed back and go, yeah, that's something great. That is really, really great. Well, it's not what you were asked. You're not going to get any marks. Remember, these exams are marked by lots of different examiners. And so to make it fair for everyone, they don't say, you go off and mark it, give it how many marks, whatever you want out of 20. It's more structured than that. The examiners have mark schemes that you need to meet. So if you write something that's really quite interesting and you think it's a great answer, if it's not on the mark scheme, you will get no marks. So always make sure that you are answering the question. Can't stress that enough. And if possible, do a mock, get it marked by a tutor, do another. Remember, you've got all the AAT sample assessments as well as any of the other that your providers have got you. I would think that's a lot better use of your time, AAT mocks, than green light tests. Green light tests are not in the standard, not in the format of the questions you're going to get. So, if you've only got a set amount of time, work on the AAT mocks. Don't work on the green light test. And one thing that students really sort of struggle with is explaining concepts. Students are very good at churning out, for example, a P&L. Well, what does a P&L show? Profit loss. You've got to be able to explain accounting concepts to non-accounting people. Now, say you haven't got a tutor. What you can do is, in this sort of question, is go to someone who's not an accountant, not an AAT student, your husband, your wife. They'll love you for this, I promise. And then get them to read your answers. And then at the end of it, do they, as a non-accountant, non-AAT studier, do they know what a P&L is? And if they do, you've explained an accounting concept to someone who's not an accountant, which is great, which is what we want. And points makes prizes. So the last bit, I said advanced indirect tax is not an advanced synoptic. I was right. I wasn't lying to you. But AAT have confirmed that the VAT control account can still be accessible in advanced synoptic as part of an incomplete records question taken from final accounts preparation. So you still need to know what goes where in a VAT control account. So don't sort of dismiss that. But we won't touch anything else from indirect tax. Which brings me to the last point about incomplete records. They're quite a key subject. The way an incomplete records question is, they've got to give you every single figure that you possibly need, except for the one you're looking for. So if you haven't got every single figure that you need, except for the one you're looking for, you can't do the question. So don't worry about it. Just think, that goes here, that goes there, that goes there. The difference is the figure I'm looking for. Just put in what you know. So that's ethics. It is 45% of the marks. It's only an hour and 15 minutes. The large part of the marks come from spreadsheets. Look at that, it's like I practiced it. So it's 55% of the marks, and it's split in 2 tasks, 2.1, 2.2. And the first one's worth 25 marks, the last one's worth 30 marks. So you really, really don't spend all your time on 2.1 because there's loads of marks in 2.2, which if you run out of time, you're just not going to get. Now, one of the things we see is students will send in work, and there's certain tasks where you can do it anyway. If it says, total list, you can use sum, you can use plus, you can add, and as long as it comes to the right answer, that's great. Now, if it was to say using an if statement and you don't use an if statement, you're not going to win marks. So if it doesn't give you formulas to use, you can do it anyway, really. If it does, do it. And the other thing that students sort of come to us and say, oh, I don't know how to do, for example, limiting factor analysis on a spreadsheet. I was like, well, you know how to do it, and you can do it on a calculator. Therefore, you can do it on a spreadsheet. Because the accounting concepts types questions, they're never going to be ridiculously hard with formulas and VLOOKUPs and all that sort of stuff flying around, like a profit appropriation account, ETB, limited factor analysis. The functions you're going to be using in those types of questions are going to be quite straightforward. So that's plus, minus, divide, times, about it. You're not going to be using really advanced calculations and formulas for something like that. So just think, if your mind goes blank, I don't know how to do break-even analysis on a spreadsheet. Well, think, how would I do it with a calculator? And the functions that you've got on a basic calculator are going to be the same functions you're going to use on a spreadsheet, but you're just using a spreadsheet. And the other thing is, we're teaching you how to use spreadsheets to make it useful for you. So the whole point of spreadsheets is they save time. They are constantly update, and now you change one figure and all the other figures flow on for it. So say you get an ETB, you've got an adjustments column, you've got the initial TB, don't add them up on your calculator and type them in, because where's the fun in that? You're meant to be using spreadsheets, so use formulas in spreadsheets to add numbers together. Typing in answers is just making the whole spreadsheet pointless. So remember, what you're doing, you are using spreadsheets. And the other thing is, if AAT say change that to Arial type 16 green, they're not doing it because they think it looks nice. They're doing it to see if you can do it, and there will be marks available. So don't underestimate formatting. Now, as an aside, I'm good at asides, on AQ 2013, training providers used to mark the spreadsheets exam. It was a great day when I found out AAT were actually going to be marking spreadsheets. But I'm not an AAT marker, but the way it used to work on the AQ 2013 one, and it will follow on, is if it's formatting something relatively straightforward, if it's bold, size 16, Arial, left aligned, you've got 4, and if you do it bold, size 16, Arial, centrally aligned, you lose all the marks. It's got to be all of them. Whereas like an if statement, if you have the if statement and it references the wrong cell, but it does work, you get allowable errors, so you can actually get 100% of the marks with some errors. Which brings me to the next point. That worked well. The unfigurable. So say it says use an if statement and then turn your answer blue. If your mind goes blank and you can't do an if statement, just put any old answer in. Ideally, you wouldn't know how to do a statement. But if your mind goes blank, put any old answer in and turn something blue. There will be a mark for turning something blue. So they will be two different tasks. They will be two different mark allocations. Obviously, an if statement is probably a bit more technical than turning something blue, but you may as well have the marks for turning something blue. So remember that. Even if you think, I can't do this, you're there for one thing alone, and that is not to produce a perfect spreadsheet. You're there to pass the exam. You've made the effort to get there. You've done all the work. Get as many. You're there to get marks. Remember that. So if something doesn't work, if you just do whatever it asks you to, even if you know it's going to be wrong. If you're using the wrong data or you can't get your formula to work, doesn't matter. Use it if you can later on to pick up marks. So general tips. People come to me and go, oh, shall I read my advanced bookkeeping book? No, don't do that. Don't do that. Life's too short. As sort of revision, I would sort of do the mocks from all the other units. For example, I should say that's a different mug to the one I've asked you to like and share. So you will get a new one. Anyone who likes and share it will get a mug. Yeah, I've got loads of these FI mugs. So, like, do all the mocks from MAAC, FAPR, AWK. You've got the AAT. Just because you've already sat those units, you'll still have access to them. They're really good practice, and they'll highlight any areas where you do need a bit more revision, rather than just doing a revision, because you won't get very long. To brush up the entire level, because you just can't. Can't stress enough. timing, really, really crucial. I've always been a big fan of, I've got X amount of minutes on this task, and when I've run out of minutes, move on. You spend all your time in 2.2 trying to get your formula, whatever, to work, and you lose the marks in 2.3 for turning something blue. You're really doing yourself a disservice. Some people even start with 2.3 because it's worth more marks than 2.1. You're going to struggle to pass if you just don't do 2.1, but you want to make sure you get plenty of time on the last spreadsheets task. The other thing to say, you should know this: once you leave ethics to go into spreadsheets, you can't go back. So don't click that finger. AAT do check many, many times. Are you sure you want to go? You are sure you want to go into spreadsheets? Are you really, really sure? Just make sure of that. And the other thing to remember, you can't carry time over. So if you've got 10 minutes of time left in ethics, you may as well check it because you're there. That's what it's for. So you can't carry time over. But I assume everyone knows that. It is really, really important. Now, in terms of subjects, I really, really would brush up on statement of financial position, P&L, ETBs, that sort of thing from AVBK, FAPR, incomplete records, profit appropriation accounts. Profit appropriation accounts work really, really well with GoalSeek. So I would make sure you're fine with the profit appropriation account. Remember, it's going to be a relatively straightforward profit appropriation account. It's not going to be really, really complicated with like salaries and interest on capital and interest on drawings and all that. It's got to be relatively straightforward. What isn't straightforward is costing. There's lots of concepts that can come up from costing, break even, net present value, that sort of stuff. You can't sort of say these are the key concepts in costing that are going to come up because there's lots in costing. But again, if you can do it on a calculator, you can do it on a spreadsheet. So there are my top tips for passing advanced synoptic. Has anyone got any questions? I can see that own figure rule is a lifesaver. Never ever give up on that. So if you've got questions, queries, let me know. Like I say, FB25 is a discount code. We'll get you 25% off our online live and whole level AAT courses, and that runs till the 12th of June. So don't forget, you're still paying interest-free instalments. Cool. It is a passable exam. Remember that. It isn't impossible now, and we tend to find if students are well prepared, they do well. But it is all about question practice. It's all about mock exams. Do as many mocks as you can get your hands on. I really, really suggest that. And if you can get someone to review it, because like you do costing box and you've written 5 and the model answer's 5, you're like, yeah, that's great, I've got all the marks. We tend to find with written students, you get like 2 types of students. One who writes something really good, and because it's not the same as the model answers, they don't think it's going to get any marks. And someone who writes something that's not so good, shall we say, but they think it's great because it's a written answer. I've written sentences, therefore I should get marks. No, it needs to be relevant and it needs to answer the question, which you can't stress enough. Answer the question. If you get your answers down, you'll be fine. The other thing is, it's not overly time pressured as long as you're not redoing stuff. So spend an extra 20-30 seconds before you start the question. Make sure you're really, really comfortable as to what the question is asking, and then answer it, and you'll be fine. Just don't think, right, I've done this, and then think, oh, I've done it wrong, I have to redo it. That's what kills you for time. Timing is crucial in this exam. Cannot stress that enough. Anyway, like I say, anyone likes to shares, post, possibly win first intuition mug, and we've got our 25% off discount code. So if anyone's got any questions, queries, you know where I am. Pop me an email at aat@fi.co.uk. Quite happy to chat about AAT or life in general if you get in touch. Anyway, I won't keep any longer on a Saturday. I'd like to say I'm off out, but I'm not. But I will let you have a good weekend, and I will see you in due time.